Hey friends, we're going to wrap up this rose quartz in a cage pendant style, and this is a beginner-friendly tutorial. So I've started with 4 pieces of 18 gauge round copper wire, and I've used 26 gauge round copper wire to wrap 7 times around it, and then leave a space, and then wrap another 7 times. Now I'm just using my nylon pliers to hold one side of the wrap down while I push the other side away from me. And that'll form a really good point for the bottom of our teardrop. Now we're just going to shape the rest of the wire around our teardrop. And I twisted up my wires just a tiny bit here, so you just want to make sure those are straight when you're bending it around your pendant. Otherwise it's going to bend the wires even worse and make it even more difficult. Okay, so let's try again. Now I'm going to use just the front 2 pieces of wire to get the shape of it down. Once I have the shape around the stone down, I can take that stone out and bend the rest of the wires to match those front 2 wires that I bend down, just like that. And then we're going to bend the wires out at the top to make our bail. You can double check your size and where you want your bail to start, which is just where those wires at the top crisscross. So we bend those both out, and when you push them together, you can double check that your stone still fits just the way you want it. After that, I turn my frame sideways, so I now have a bottom 4 and a top 4. And I'm going to take that same 26 gauge copper round wire and start on the bottom 4. We're going to go once around that bottom and then 5 times around both. Now make sure you don't pull too tight here, otherwise you're going to stack your wires. And you don't want to do that. You want them to be side by side. You don't want to be stacked. Now it's my preference to use the back 2 wires for the bail. Every wire wrapper has their own preference. I like the back 2. So we're going to get the front 3 on each side out of our way. Then we're going to push those back 2 wires together. And we're going to continue on with that same 26 gauge wire and just wrap around those 2 wires there until it's tall enough that we have our bail. So in a second here, I'm going to speed this part up because we're literally just winding it until it's tall enough. Now you can wind it around the way that I was, or you can twist your pendant cage like I am here. Be aware of your tension. We're literally just turning it and setting the wire down. Turning it and setting your 26 gauge wire down on your 18 gauge wires. You're not pulling, you're not tightening it down, you're just setting it in place. So you can twist the pendant, or you can twist your fingers, whichever way you prefer to do, whichever way is more comfortable for you. But again, we're just going to get it tall enough to have the size of bail that we would like to have. Almost there. I'm going to finish the last little bit up without twisting the pendant. Now to secure it, you're going to put your wrapping wire in between those 2 wires and push it down as far as you can, and then clip it off in the back. You can press that little pokey piece down there, and then we're going to get the tail in the front cut down as well, or you can wiggle it like I just did there till it breaks off. And then just kind of push it up so that whoever wears your pendant is not going to get poked. Now we're going to bend the remaining wire down, and then I just use my finger to bend the wire in half to make our bail. When you push it through, you're going to separate the other 2 sides and wrap them around the sides of your cage that are going to go around your pendant. Wrap them back to the back, and then we're going to cut them down and wrap them underneath on each side as well and secure that bail down. Make sure you don't tighten them down too much like what I just did, because again, you're going to stack your wires and you don't want them stacked. You want them side by side. Now we're going to bend in those back wires because we need something for our stone to sit on. So we're going to get right up against our wrapping wire at the bottom and bend just the back wires in towards each other. I like to get them really nice and close just to have a good resting spot for that stone. And boom, pops in right there. Now we're going to do the same thing on the front wires. We're going to bend them in down towards the bottom. I like to use my finger to separate them out a little bit first, because then you're not trying to shove a tool in there and you're not going to damage your wire. Or at least you're less likely to damage your wire. Now I keep my thumb on top of the wire up higher to keep it in place while I just bend the bottom part. Otherwise your whole wire is going to slide in while you try to bend in just the bottom. Then you could do the wiggle test, make sure everything's nice and snug in there, or the shake test. Nothing's going anywhere. So now the fun part, you just get to create the design that you want to. I'm going to show one of my favorite designs to do here. So looking at the pendant, on the right side, you're going to start with a back wire. You're going to bring it around in a swirl here and secure that one down. So the right side, you're going to work back to front, and then the left side, you're going to do the opposite. So we did the back wire first, now we're going to do the middle wire, and you're going to make your curve a little bit smaller to fit in that first curve. Bend it around and secure it in place in the back. You can use your tool to adjust it however you need to if you'd like to. Now this last one on the right side, I like to do a swirl with it first before I curve it around and make like a little circle. So to do that, I just put my finger on top of the wire, as you can see here, and I like to then feel how the wire is curving under my fingers so that I know I'm making a pretty good circle. And again, you can go back in with your tools and adjust how big or how small that circle is before you secure it down in place. Now we're going to move on to the left side. So the left side, we're going to work front to back. So that first wire, we're going to bring down and swoop the opposite way, but we make sure that bottom swoop is nice and wide because we need to fit our other two wires in there. So we'll go ahead and secure that one in place. And then you're going to take your middle wire and make the swoop a little bit smaller so it sits inside that first one. And I just use my thumb to create that swoop. Now this last one can get a little tricky, but I'm going to show you how you get the swoop perfect so that it fits right inside where it's supposed to be. You're still going to swoop it with your thumb just like you did the other two. Just like that. But then you're going to pop it up, and you can use your nylon pliers or your flat tweezer nose pliers to really crunch that swoop down so it fits just right inside the other two. And then you can go ahead and secure it in place in the back, and we have ourselves a finished cage pendant. Let me know if this is helpful, and if you try it out, tag me. I'd love to see what you create. Thanks for watching.